Among those most seriously affected by the damage and power losses brought by Hurricane Sandy were the physically and mentally disabled. Uncounted thousands remain isolated, hungry, cold, and fearful. Correspondent Willem Marx is here with that story. Good morning, Willem.
Good morning, Anthony. Much of the media focus this week has been on the millions of Americans living without power since Sandy. But this morning we want to tell you about some New York residents without a voice at a time when perhaps they need it most.
So this is Canterbury Road.
Kirsten Notaro is a health specialist at a group home for the mentally disabled on Long Island. 10 residents and 5 caregivers are housed here, and there's been no power since Monday.
It's not greatly lit. We don't want any accidents. And this is the main living space where everybody's pretty much been hanging out, right?
These men and women may be lucky to have a roof over their heads, but Sandy's wreaked a different kind of havoc amongst this most vulnerable segment of society.
It's the daily disruption that it rocks their world to a different extent than I think a lot of people understand.
Without heat and often in the dark, it's the usual forms of entertainment, television and video games that are missed the most.
This is how their days are spent. Regimen and a schedule makes it a lot easier for them to function on a daily basis.
This group home is one of hundreds up and down New York State that still has no power. In New York City, some powerless residents have had to abandon surroundings that were comfortingly familiar.
Come on in here.
Christopher still sleeps in his own room on Long Island, but sleep has been difficult since Sandy.
I was completely frightened. I had no idea what I was going to do.
But caregivers like Notaro say their shared experiences will help weather this latest storm.
The little things, the thank yous here and there, I don't think they realize how much it means to the staff when they recognize that we're here because we care.
A lot of these caregivers have been working round the clock all week in the cold and dark out of a commitment to those they care for and the work they do. In the meantime, they've struggled to make it home to see their own families and get on with their own lives.
Willem Marx, thanks, Willem. Let's get more on this crisis within a crisis now from Stephen Freeman. He's the CEO of the YAI Network, the largest organization in the New York area serving the disabled. Also with us is Courtney Burke, Commissioner of the New York State Office for People with Development Disabilities. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Thank you.
Stephen, let me start with you. How many of these homes do you have, and how many of them are without power right now?
We operate 120 different sites throughout the metropolitan area, including New Jersey. About 22 of them are without power, and as we speak, more are coming online. So this morning, I think we're up to about 18 that have been out. We have 800 people living in these programs. 200 were without power, and we evacuated about 56 people just prior to the storm.
Things are slowly getting a little better, though.
They're getting better as we sit here. I've been getting tweets all morning about new programs coming online, so things are getting a little bit better. Our biggest damage, apparently, is in Long Island and on the Westchester coast on the Long Island Sound.
Commissioner, you've had to evacuate statewide about 2,000 people at this point. What's the status of your efforts?
We've been working around the clock. We've got wonderful staff at all levels of the agency and throughout the state who have been working to catalog where are people who have lost power, what are we doing to get them needed supplies, whether it's medical supplies, whether it's generators. We're cataloging that information so that we can make sure we're getting the supplies there in a timely way.
Can the state prioritize for those most vulnerable to this storm?
Yes, we certainly prioritize. We've been working hand in hand with those in the governor's office, with those other state agencies that can assist us. We've even been working with the federal government to bring in supplies from other states if needed to make sure that we're getting to people who really could be in a crisis situation.
Stephen, how do you deal with a challenge like this when you're dealing with so many people, many of whom I think probably don't fully understand what's going on, right?
Well, we have a wide range of functioning levels. So for many of these people, they understand what was happening. We had a good opportunity to prepare for this, to prepare for our staff coverage, prepare to make the facility safer in advance. During the storm, we gathered together in each one of our programs and made sure that everybody felt comfortable. There's been a very long-standing series of policies and practices for these kind of emergencies. We work very closely in partnership with the government and state government, particularly OPWDD, to put these into work. So over this last week, we've had a tremendous response from our staff, and they really are the people who are the heroes in this story. They have worked overtime. They've left left their own families.
Yeah, they've got problems. Many of them without power too, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. Many of them themselves try to be in touch with their own families that they haven't been able to be with the YI family. And for them, I say thank you tremendously because this is really where the strength of this organization has lied, and the partnership that we've worked together has really been a success story here.
We applaud them for everything that they're doing. For people at home who would like to help with the Sandy relief efforts, and in particular help the disabled commissioner, what do you recommend people do?
We recommend that they visit the governor's website where there is information. I know that there will be information posted at the end of this segment with additional information for people as well who may need direct assistance right at this moment in time. But Steve is correct that it has been a great partnership between the state, between the nonprofits, and the staff in all of our facilities have been tremendous. We have a lot of great stories of people going above and beyond, being without their families, their own families for several days. We had 2 individuals who actually went out in the middle of the storm, in the middle of the night, rescued 28 individuals who had 2 homes where one of the homes was underwater.
You guys have been doing incredible
great.
work.
Thank
Courtney
you.
Burke and Stephen Freeman, thank you both for being here.
If I could
this
just
morning.
mention, people can want to contribute to our relief efforts at yi.org to help us rebuild our programs. Thank you.
Best wishes. Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.